What's up guys, I have something really cool to share with you, but I can't really tell you about it till the end. You need to watch the video through to understand what I'm talking about. You can help me, I can help you, it's going to be awesome, so let's get into this. So we're going to be building a guitar practice schedule in this video. I've kind of done a bit of it, but we can finish it off together and I can talk you through the process of doing it. And hopefully if you're a kind of beginner or late beginner kind of stage, then it kind of might help you out. It's important I do this because I've got something really important coming up next week. So disclaimer, this isn't the only way to build a guitar practice schedule, and I'll be interested to get all your thoughts on it. But this is the way that allows me to focus in on the things that I want to learn rather than the things I think that I need to learn. So to start with, I like to look at the big picture stuff and think about where I actually want to be with my playing. What type of guitar player do I want to be, and where do I want to be doing my guitar playing? Now for me, personally, I want to be just playing at home as a hobby and it may develop into one day playing with a band or something. But for some other people, they might want to master the instrument. They might just want to be sharing it with some friends and singing along together. Or it could just be they want to join a band or just become an absolute pro at guitar. I don't know. But first off, you've got to set what those parameters are and what it means to you. For me, personally, I want to become a really proficient hobby guitar player, and I'll build up around that shortly, but that's what's important to me. And then I have to look at the influences, the people that I want to emulate and be like and kind of learn from, and I like the sound of their guitar playing. So effectively, my guitar practice schedule is going to be built around those players that I'm really interested in. So it's kind of almost like a player study to understand how they played, how they built up their chord progressions, their phrases, their melodies, all the techniques and skills that they used in order to perform the way they did. It probably came natural to them, or they evolved like every kind of artist, whatever genre they're in. So they probably learnt over time and had certain influences. Now, these are all, the ones that I'm interested are all kind of Strat-based guitar players, and I guess that's what I've been drawn to, and that's the kind of route that I want to go down. So the influences for me, for example, are John Frusciante, I've got Eric Clapton, John Mayer, and Hendrix. Now those are the kind of four that I've been thinking about and swimming around my head, that their styles of playing and the music they play is very interesting to me. So I'm going to base what I learn around what they do. Now, in order to do that, I'm thinking that I have to understand what they're doing and the chord progressions they're using. So I need to know some theory, I need to have some fretboard knowledge to go along with that to help study and understand what they did and better digest it, and then eventually be able to kind of use my own phrases that have been influenced by those guitar players. So that's the overall kind of direction that I want to take with my guitar playing. But then how do I figure out how to get there? To start with, I think you need to do a self-evaluation of your current playing skills, and you need to be brutally honest with yourself about what your current abilities are. Now for me personally, I know I struggle with lots of things, and some days they can be better than others. I think we're all a bit like that. Us beginners are a bit older and you're just kind of working through. Sometimes it feels like, you know, you make progress in there at one area and not in another, and then it kind of drops and moves around. So it's always a kind of a moving target, if you like, but it's important to understand your weaknesses, because those alongside your goals can help you improve and get to where you need to be. So if I was to look at my own playing, I think that my timing isn't always right. I don't hit chords always that cleanly. I don't think my palm muting was all that great. My bar chords are coming along, they're doing okay, they're getting better, but my transitions between them can be a bit difficult. And my movement around the fretboard in terms of just getting my hand placements isn't great. So those are some obvious weaknesses that I can see in my playing, and I understand from having a read about these different guitar players that are influencing me that I'm going to obviously need to expand and move on a lot further than I am now. But that's a stepping stone process to get there. So you've done the big picture stuff, you've worked out what type of guitar player you want to be, you've then done your self-evaluation. Thirdly, you've got to work out how you're going to get there. How are you going to practice to get to where you want to be? So in order to do that, there's three things that I think you need to look at. So the first one is developing your skills. You need to look at the skill set that you have currently and identify the areas of your playing that you need to learn and improve on in order to be like the players that you're interested in playing like. Secondly, you need to work on solving the problems in your playing. Now, for me, I gave you a little short list there, but I think it could go on a lot longer. And it depends on the night, really. It can be really bad, and sometimes it's okay. But there you go. That's what you've got to identify. And once you know what those are, then you can obviously work on your weaknesses and turn those weaknesses into strengths, and then you become more of the player that you want to be. And thirdly, you want to build a repertoire of songs. And the songs that I'm looking to learn, for example, are going to be around those players, or that kind of playing really, in order to push my playing on and obviously implement the techniques that I'm interested in learning, because they're associated with those types of songs, right? So it all goes together as a package and means that I'm always trying to implement them in order to improve my playing. So those three things have effectively allowed us to identify how to practice and how to reach your goal. But next you need to get into the actual detail of what you'll be learning in order to be able to get to your goal. So for example, firstly, the skills that I'm looking to develop, me personally, will be based around the guitar players that I've previously mentioned, and what I will have to work on, for example, are these things. So all those things have just come from the guitar players that I'm interested in. How did I find that? I just did a simple search on Google. So I'm searching for the techniques that John Frusciante used, for example, and this is what came up. So if we have a look at it, you've got a muting, the pentatonic and minor scale soloing, rhythmic embellishments, and intervals, a wah pedal, I don't have one of those, and overdubs. So overdubs isn't really going to be something that I'm going to explore straight away, but some of those techniques are obviously going to be part of what I'm looking to learn. And then it'll be the same with all the other artists as well that I'm interested in emulating. But what about the problems I have with my own playing? Now I need to obviously put those down on paper as well, and they become part of the schedule too. So the final piece of the puzzle is building a repertoire of songs, and songs that you love from the artists that you're interested in. So for me, I've obviously got quite a list of stuff that I'd like to get into. It's going to probably be very difficult to start, but there's obviously styles that you'll pick up, and hopefully things might get a bit easier as time goes on. So this is my initial list, and it's something that I'm obviously really keen to get started in, and I can't wait to get on with it. So right, we've got a list of skills that we'd like to develop. We've identified the problems in the playing that we see. And then thirdly, we've got a list of songs that we want to learn. Let's start building a schedule. I'll show you what I'm using currently on the computer now. Okay, so this is what I'm going to use to put my schedule into. If you haven't seen before, this is Justin Guitar's Practice Assistant. It is really good, and I'll show you exactly what you get in a minute. But firstly, if you haven't seen any of this before, I'd recommend you watch his introduction video, and it obviously make everything really clear, and it's pretty simple and intuitive to use, I think, anyway, personally. First thing you have to really do is put some practice items in. So I've already created some. This is around an hour-long practice session. I actually have two types of practice session during the week. One's going to be an hour long, one's going to be an hour and a half, depending on the day and what's going on in my life, really. So this one is for the hour version, and I'll run through what I've got here. So I've added in a number of different exercises based around those three topics that we identified: problems in your playing, areas of techniques that you want to develop, and then the songs, the repertoire songs that you want to build up. So for example, if we have a look through these, palm muting is clearly, if I edit this here, is a playing problem. So I've listed it as such, and I put a duration for the length of practice, and that's 5 minutes. Then if we look at some other ones, for example, this spider exercise I've got in here, this is a warm-up. I've got about 2 to 3 items, I can't remember exactly now, in terms of my warm-up. I'll show you in a minute. Strumming dynamics, that's something I see as a problem in my playing also, so I've put that in there. The minor pentatonic scale, now that's technical development. Now I've played some pentatonic scales before, but I'm particularly looking at those ones used by the guitar players that I'm interested in emulating. So as I learn more about the players, I will fill this out, and I'll probably separate it and have different scale picking exercises that I do. But for now, I've got one in there as a reminder that that's what I need to be doing. Then on top of that, I've got some songs that I'm currently working on or looking to work on. So for example, Sunshine of Your Love, if you saw my 1,000 subscriber thank you the other week, then you'll know that I'm working on that. I definitely need some work. And you can also put in here links to the lesson that you're learning. Now this is one I'm learning. It isn't actually one from Justin, but it's from somebody else. But I'll show you how that operates in the actual schedule in a minute. So here's another song that I'm looking to learn. Under the Bridge is one of my favourite songs, and it's obviously a Frusciante Red Hot Chili Pepper song, and I put a link in there. I put duration of 15 minutes. Now I like to spend a lot more time on learning songs because that's where I get all the joy from playing generally. I recognise that I have to practice my technical development and on my problem areas, but I want to be having fun while I'm playing as well, so I tend to spend more time on songs. So once I've shown you that, that's basically what I'm looking at. As I said, for an hour-long session, I will add more items because I'm going to obviously have an hour and a half one as well, but I'm just showing you what I've got together so far. So those are the practice items. Then we look at the actual practice routine. This is the practice routine here. This is the current active routine, as I said, the 1 hour practice. Now, once you've obviously established that, which we've just done, then you can go into the practice area. And this is really cool actually, because you can work through it and it has a countdown time and it lets you know when the 5 minutes is up. So it's really, really good. You've also got a metronome in there if you need to practice any of the exercises, which I would do for some of these, but not all of them. On top of that, you can obviously see the durations when you've done it. So you basically work through these. You can skip them if you want to. Obviously, you don't really want to be doing that. You can log your time once you've done each exercise, and eventually this all adds up, and I'll show you that in a minute. You can also look at things like adding notes, for example, or something you need to remember from the last time you played, or particular techniques. I don't know, might be hammering on and watching how you have your hand shape or your finger position or whatever it may be. Really useful tool, this. So when it comes to songs, you can open them up here. Obviously you've got your timer like I said, but it also gives the related link. So if you click that, it opens up in a separate tab. But if you're using one of Justin's song lessons, then it will actually show it within there and you can play it straight within that tab. So that's pretty cool as well. But if not, it just open in a separate one. So once you've done that, you've worked through these exercises, you will be able to see your stats. And there's nothing to show here yet because I've only just built this today, and that'll be something I use next week. But you'll be able to see stats of how much you've practiced and on which exercises. And you generally, over a period of time, you'll be able to establish exactly how much time you've been putting into things. So for someone like me who's a little bit nerdy with that sort of stuff, it's enjoyable to see, because I like to see progress and I like to be able to track it and know if I'm going well on something or not, or need to change things up. So personally, I think this is a really good way to go, and I'm going to use it for both my hour and hour and a half sessions going forward. So that's it. That's my hour-long session organised, and I find this to be a really useful tool, and hopefully you do too. I'll leave a link below, but what you'll find is once you've signed up for Justin Guitar and you're logged in, then you will have access to the practice assistant. It's pretty easy to use, and I find it really useful. You know that cool thing at the beginning of the video? Well, last week, if you've been watching my videos and saw me saying thank you to all of you for supporting me along the way so far, I obviously talked about where my channel was going, and I asked any of you if you thought where I should be covering, and you had some good ideas. One of them was this, and another one supported it. So I thought, okay, what the heck, I'll send an email to Justin Guitar, see what he says. I didn't expect anything, and I think it was a day later I got an email saying, yeah, I'll have a chat with you over Skype or whatever you want to do. So it's happening. Next week I'm going to be having a chat with Justin. I'm going to be talking through what how I've been playing. I'm going to talk to him about the issues that I'm having with playing. I'm going to talk to him about this schedule, which is why I wanted you guys to watch through this, about where I'm going to go with my direction, because I thought that would be the most useful use of my time, as it were. But I'm also there to ask questions for you guys. So if you've got questions that you want to ask Justin, whatever they may be, I don't care. It could get quite random. But if you've got specific questions about your guitar playing, then I'd love to hear them. Please put them in the comments below. I will ask him. So if you've got something to say, let me know. So I'm really excited by it. I'm just hoping my voice holds out. As you can probably tell, it's a bit croaky at the moment, got a sore throat, but I'm super excited by it. I'm looking forward to having a chat with him. And obviously I'm going to share it with all of you so you get to see what his responses are on it. So that's it for this week, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.